The first time I noticed money missing from the cookie jar, I told myself I'd miscounted. The second time, I knew something was wrong. By the fifth time, I had to face the truth. Someone in my house was stealing from me. If you love stories about family, secrets, and heartwarming surprises, subscribe now. You won't believe where this is headed. My name is Barbara Reynolds. I'm 69 years old, and I've been living with my son David and his wife Maria for the past 2 years, ever since my hip surgery made living alone too difficult. They have a beautiful home in Riverside, California, with a guest suite that's become my little sanctuary. David works as a regional manager for a grocery chain, and Maria is a school teacher. They've got 2 kids, my grandkids Tyler, 14, and Sophie, 11. It's a full house, but a happy one, or at least I thought it was. The cookie jar sits on top of the refrigerator. It's been my system for years. I keep my cash there for small purchases. Groceries, gifts for the grandkids, my weekly hair appointment at Shirley's salon. Nothing major, usually about $200 minus $300. It started 3 months ago. I went to grab $40 for my hair appointment, and I could have sworn I had more than the $120 that was there. But like I said, I figured I'd just remembered wrong. At my age, the memory isn't always what it used to be, but then it happened again the next week. And the week after that, $20 here, $30 there, never huge amounts, which made me second-guess myself even more. The thing is, this family doesn't need my money. David makes a good living. They've got a nice house, 2 cars, the kids are in good schools, so why would anyone be taking my cash? I started keeping a secret ledger, writing down exactly how much was in that jar. That's when I knew for certain someone was definitely helping themselves to my money. My first thought was the kids. Tyler's at that age where he wants the latest video games and sneakers. Maybe he thought Grandma wouldn't notice, but Tyler's always been a good kid, honest as the day is long. Then I wondered about Sophie. She's been asking about a new bicycle, one of those fancy ones all her friends have. But stealing, that didn't seem like her either, which left, and I hated myself for even thinking it. Maria. My daughter-in-law has always been wonderful to me, patient when I need help, kind when I'm having a rough day with my hip. She treats me like her own mother, not just her husband's mom. The thought of her stealing from me made my stomach turn, but I had to know the truth. If you're already hooked, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This story takes a turn you'll never see coming. I decided to set up a test. I placed a $50 bill in the cookie jar on a Monday morning, along with my usual cash. I memorized the serial number D74,839,205K. I know, a bit dramatic, but I watch a lot of those crime shows on TV. Then I waited. Tuesday morning I checked. The 50 was still there. Wednesday, still there. I started to feel relieved. Maybe I really had been miscounting after all. Thursday morning, I overslept a bit. By the time I shuffled into the kitchen in my robe, everyone else was already up. David was reading the paper, the kids were eating cereal, and Maria was packing lunches. "Morning, Mom," David called out cheerfully. "Morning, sweetheart." I poured myself some coffee and settled at the table. Maria finished the lunches, kissed the kids goodbye, and grabbed her purse. "I've got to run some errands before school," she said. "Need anything while I'm out, Barbara?" "No, honey, I'm fine." She smiled and headed out the door. David left for work shortly after, and the kids caught the school bus. I was alone in the house. I went straight to the cookie jar. The $50 bill was gone. My heart sank like a stone. It was Maria. My sweet daughter-in-law was stealing from me. But why? What could she possibly need the money for? I sat at that kitchen table for an hour, my coffee going cold, trying to make sense of it. Was she in some kind of trouble? Did she have a gambling problem? Was she buying drugs? No, that was ridiculous. Maria was straight as an arrow, never even had a glass of wine at dinner. Maybe she had debt David didn't know about. Credit cards she'd maxed out and was trying to pay off secretly. The not knowing was eating me alive. I decided I had to follow her. I know, it sounds crazy. A 69-year-old woman playing detective. But I needed answers. The next Thursday I was ready. I'd parked my car around the corner the night before, told everyone I was meeting my friend Helen for coffee. When Maria left the house that morning, I waited exactly 2 minutes, then hurried to my car as fast as my hip would allow. I spotted her silver Honda at the end of the street and followed at a distance, my heart pounding like I was in some kind of spy movie. She didn't go to the school. Instead, she drove to the older part of town, the area with the rundown buildings and shops with half their letters missing from the signs. My confusion grew. Maria pulled into the parking lot of a building I didn't recognize. It looked like it might have been a restaurant once, but the windows were covered with paper and there was no sign. I parked across the street and watched as Maria got out of her car, looked around nervously, and knocked on the front door. Someone opened it just a crack, she slipped inside, and the door closed behind her. What on earth? I sat there for 45 minutes watching that door, my imagination running wild. Was this some kind of drug house? A gambling den? Was my daughter-in-law involved in something illegal? Finally, the door opened and Maria came out. She was carrying a large paper bag, the kind you get from grocery stores. She looked around again, put the bag in her trunk, and drove off. I followed her home, staying way back, my mind spinning with possibilities. Subscribe now if you want to find out what was really going on. I promise you won't guess it. That evening at dinner, I couldn't take it anymore. Maria was serving her famous pot roast, everyone was chatting about their day, and I was sitting there knowing I had to say something. "Maria, honey, can we talk after dinner?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just the two of us." She looked surprised. "Of course, Barbara, is everything okay? We just need to have a chat." I could see David give her a questioning look, but she just shrugged. After the dishes were done and the kids went upstairs to do homework, Maria and I sat in the living room. David made himself scarce. He's good about letting us women talk when we need to. "Maria," I began, my hands shaking slightly. "I need to ask you something and I need you to be honest with me." She looked concerned. "What is it? Have you been taking money from my cookie jar?" Her face went pale, dead silent for a moment. Then, to my complete surprise, she burst into tears. "Oh God, Barbara, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't want you to find out this way. I was going to tell you, I swear, I just needed a little more time." My heart was breaking. "Maria, whatever it is, we can fix it. If you're in trouble, if you need help—" "I'm not in trouble," she interrupted, wiping her tears. "It's not what you think. Can you come with me tomorrow? I want to show you something." "Show me what?" "Please, Barbara, just trust me. Come with me tomorrow morning and I'll explain everything." I didn't sleep much that night. My mind kept going to dark places, imagining what she could possibly need to show me. The next morning, Maria drove us to that same rundown building. In the daylight, I could see it was in even worse shape than I'd thought. Paint peeling, weeds growing through cracks in the pavement. "Maria, what is this place?" I asked nervously. She took my hand. "Come inside, please." She knocked on the door and a middle-aged Hispanic woman opened it, greeting Maria with a warm hug. "Maria, and you brought Barbara?" "Come on, Mom," Maria said gently. She'd started calling me Mom about a year after marrying David, which always made me tear up. I stepped inside and stopped dead in my tracks. The building wasn't a drug den or a gambling hall. It was full of people, elderly people, sitting at tables eating breakfast. There were maybe 20 of them, all looking at me with curious, friendly faces. What is this?" I whispered. Maria's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were happy tears. "This is Casa de Esperanza, House of Hope. It's a community center for elderly Hispanic immigrants who don't have family nearby or who are struggling." She led me further inside. The space was clean but shabby. Mismatched chairs, old tables, but everything spotless and welcoming. "3 months ago," Maria continued, "I found out this place was going to close. They lost their funding, couldn't pay rent. These people would have nowhere to go, Barbara. For some of them, this is the only hot meal they get. It's the only place they see friendly faces." My hand flew to my mouth. "I grew up poor, Mom, really poor. My abuela, my grandmother, she raised me after my parents died. We relied on places like this. Community centers where people cared, where we could get food and help." She wiped her eyes. "When I heard Casa de Esperanza was closing, I couldn't just let it happen. So you've been—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "I've been volunteering here, and yes, I've been taking your money. I'm so sorry. I should have asked, but I was embarrassed. David doesn't know, he gives what he can to charity, but I know he'd say we can't afford to do more. So I've been using my lunch money, and I know it's wrong, but I've been taking from your jar too. About $50 a week." She covered her face with her hands. "I know stealing is stealing, no matter the reason. I'm so ashamed. But Barbara, if I don't pay the rent, this place closes in 2 weeks and these people have nowhere to go." I stood there trying to process everything. All this time, all my suspicions and worry, and Maria had been doing something beautiful. The woman who'd opened the door came over. "You must be Barbara, I'm Rosa. Maria talks about you all the time." She smiled warmly. "Your daughter-in-law is an angel. She teaches English here on Tuesday and Thursday mornings before school. She brings food, and yes, she pays part of our rent. Without her, we close." I looked at Maria, really looked at her. This woman who'd welcomed me into her home, cared for me after surgery, treated me like family. And here she was, sacrificing her own money, keeping secrets not out of malice but out of pure goodness. "How much do you need?" I asked quietly. "To keep this place open?" Maria looked up, surprised. "What? How much money do you need to keep Casa de Esperanza running?" "Barbara, no, I couldn't ask you to. You're not asking." "I'm offering how much?" Rosa spoke up. "We need $800 a month for rent, plus about $400 for utilities and supplies. Some weeks we manage, other weeks." She shrugged sadly. I thought about the money sitting in my savings account. Money I'd been hoarding for, what? A rainy day. I was 69 years old, living with family who loved me, all my needs met. If you're loving this story, don't forget to subscribe. We're not done yet. "I want to help," I said firmly. "I have savings. I can give you $1,200 a month for the next year. That should buy you time to find other funding." Maria gasped. "Barbara, that's your nest egg. We can't take that." "Yes, you can, and you will." I squeezed her hand. "Maria, my whole life I've been saving for someday." "Well, someday is today. What good is money if I'm not using it to help people who need it?" Maria started crying again, and suddenly she was hugging me so tight I could barely breathe. "But," I added, "we're going to do this right. No more sneaking around. We're going to tell David, and we're going to make this a family project. I bet Tyler and Sophie would love to volunteer here on weekends." Rosa was crying now too. "Senora Barbara, thank you. Thank you so much." Over the next few hours, I met everyone at Casa de Esperanza. I heard their stories, widows and widowers, people who'd worked hard all their lives and now struggled to make ends meet, immigrants learning English and trying to build new lives. One man, Carlos, 82 years old, shook my hand with tears in his eyes. "This place saved my life," he said in broken English. "After my wife died, I wanted to die too, but Maria, she brought me here. Now I have friends. Now I have reason to wake up." That evening, Maria and I sat David and the kids down and explained everything. I expected David to be upset that Maria had kept this secret, but instead, he looked at his wife with such pride and love. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked gently. "Because you would have insisted on helping, and I know money's tight with the mortgage and the kids' activities," Maria said. "Maria, we'll figure it out," David said. "This is important. We should be doing this together," Tyler spoke up. "Can I help? I could volunteer there on Saturdays, maybe help with repairs and stuff." Sophie added, "I could teach the kids English. Or help them with reading." I watched my family rally together around this cause, and I felt a warmth in my chest that had nothing to do with my arthritis. That was 6 months ago. Casa de Esperanza is still open, thriving actually. My savings account is a lot lighter, but my heart has never been fuller. David negotiated a deal with his grocery chain to donate surplus food twice a week. Tyler rebuilt 3 of the tables for his school woodworking project and recruited friends to help paint the interior. Sophie started a reading program for the children who come with their grandparents. As for me, I volunteer there 3 days a week. I'm teaching a sewing class, helping people repair clothes and make alterations. Turns out all those years of hemming David's pants and fixing tears in his shirts prepared me for something bigger. Maria and I have never been closer. Last week, she surprised me by framing that $50 bill, the one I'd marked, the evidence of her crime. "Remember when you thought I was a thief?" she laughed. "You were a thief," I teased back. "You stole my heart all over again?" The funny thing is, I have more money now than I did before. Word got out in our church about what we were doing, and people started donating. Not just money, but time, food, skills. Casa de Esperanza got a grant from the county. We're completely funded for the next 3 years. And me? I get to spend my retirement doing something that matters, surrounded by people who remind me every day that life isn't about how much you save, it's about how much you give. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and share it. These are the kinds of stories that remind us what really matters in life. I think about that morning when I found the $50 bill missing, how angry and hurt I felt, how certain I was that I'd been betrayed. I was right about one thing: something had been stolen from me. My daughter-in-law stole my loneliness. She stole my feeling of being useless in my old age. She stole my narrow view of what retirement should look like. And you know what? I'm grateful for every penny she took. Last Thursday, Rosa pulled me aside at Casa de Esperanza. "Barbara, I need to tell you something." My heart jumped. "What's wrong?" She smiled. "Nothing's wrong, but you remember Carlos, the man who said this place saved his life? Of course. He passed away in his sleep 2 nights ago, peaceful. But before he died, he called me. He said, 'Tell La Senora Barbara and Maria that I died happy. Tell them they gave me familia again.'" I cried then, right there in the middle of the community center, surrounded by people who'd become like family to me. That's what Maria's stealing really gave us. Not just a community center that stays open, but familia, family in the truest sense. People who care for each other, who show up, who give not because they have to, but because they want to. David jokes now that Maria should steal more often if this is the result. The kids have learned lessons about generosity and service that no classroom could teach. And me, I've learned that sometimes the worst thing you can imagine turns out to be the best thing that ever happened. So if you're watching this and thinking about that money sitting in your savings account, that nest egg you're protecting for someday, I want to tell you something. Someday is today. There are people in your community right now who need help. There are Marias out there quietly sacrificing to make a difference. You don't have to give a lot. You don't have to change the world. But maybe you can change one person's world. Maybe you can be the reason someone like Carlos dies happy instead of alone. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please subscribe to this channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? Have you ever discovered someone you love was keeping a beautiful secret? Remember, family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about showing up, giving what you can, and loving people especially when they surprise you. I'm Barbara Reynolds, and I'm grateful every single day that my daughter-in-law stole from me. God bless you all, and remember, the best things in life aren't things at all. Until next time, take care of each other out there.